It's been a dream of many to be granted superpowers. In fact, 70% of all people say that they would choose to have superpowers if given the chance. But what happens if humans actually had superpowers? Would it be a blessing or a curse? Now, let's imagine what would happen in certain situations if we had various superpowers. First, let's take a look at what would happen if one person had all of these powers. Number 1. Superhuman strength. Humans have an average lifespan of around 73 years. That is far less than other species such as tortoises who can live up to 200 years. What if this human had the power to add 5 years to his life for every year he has already lived? If we do the math, this guy would become immortal. Let's see how it works. When he was born, his lifespan was 73 years. He then gained superhuman strength and added 5 years for each year he lived. At the age of 10, he would have a lifespan of 123 years, and at the age of 20 he would have 173 years to live, and this would continue until he reaches the age of 73. At this point, he will have 146 years left to live. So his new lifespan is 73 plus 5 or 63, 398 years. Now, when he turns 80, he will have 141 years to live. And when he turns 90, he will have 136 years to live, and so on. It will take him 478 years to die. This means that he will outlive everyone he knows and loves, and will eventually become the oldest living creature on Earth. He will see empires rise and fall and witness some pretty wild stuff over the centuries. Number 9. Shape-shifting. A new meta-human with the power of shape-shifting walks into town. He is immediately stopped by the local hero, Captain Justice. Captain Justice asks him why he is here, and the meta-human replies that he is here to kill him. Captain Justice doesn't believe him and gets ready to fight. The meta-human shifts into a tiger and attacks Captain Justice. Captain Justice is taken aback by the ferocity of the tiger and barely manages to escape. He vows to find the meta-human and bring him to justice. But the meta-human has already shifted into a bird and flown away. Captain Justice is left with no choice but to call for backup. The other heroes arrive, and together they are able to track down the meta-human. They corner him and demand that he surrender. But the meta-human refuses and shifts into a giant lizard and attacks them. The heroes are taken aback by the power of the meta-human and are unable to defeat him. They are forced to retreat and regroup. The meta-human is victorious once again and flies away. The heroes are determined to stop him, and they train for months in order to increase their power levels. Finally, they feel ready to take on the meta-human once again. They confront him, and this time they are able to defeat him. The meta-human is taken into custody, and humanity is safe once again. Number 8. Mind reading. Have you ever been in a situation where you wish you could read someone's mind? Maybe you're trying to figure out what your crush is thinking, or maybe you want to know what your boss is really thinking about your performance review. Whatever the case may be, being able to read someone's mind would definitely come in handy. Imagine being able to know what someone is thinking without having to ask. You could get answers to questions you've been dying to ask, understand people better, and avoid a lot of potential awkward situations. However, there are also potential downsides to this ability. For example, you might not want to know what some people are thinking. Additionally, reading people's minds could lead to a lot of misunderstandings and privacy issues. So, while it might be a useful ability to have, it's probably best to leave it up to the fictional characters. Number 7. Telekinesis. If you could move objects with your mind, what would you do first? Perhaps you'd use your newfound powers to tidy up your room, or maybe you'd use it to play harmless pranks on your friends. Or maybe you'd go all out and use telekinesis to make someone's life miserable. The possibilities are really endless with this superpower. But it's important to remember that great power comes with great responsibility. If you're not careful, your telekinetic powers could do a lot of damage. That's why it's important to use your abilities wisely and only for good. Number 6. Time manipulation. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and you have somewhere important to be. You start to get angry and frustrated. But then you remember that you have the power to manipulate time. With a thought, you make the traffic light turn green and you speed off to your destination. Being able to manipulate time would give us a lot of freedom and power. We could change the course of history or even save lives. However, it's important to remember that with great power comes great responsibility. If we're not careful, we could easily cause more harm than good. That's why it's important to use our time manipulation abilities wisely and only for good. Number 5. Healing factor. In our everyday lives, we are constantly bombarded with bacteria and other harmful substances. Our immune systems work hard to keep us healthy, but sometimes they need a little help. That's where the healing factor comes in. This superpower would allow us to heal from injuries and illnesses much faster. We would be able to recover from cuts and bruises in a matter of seconds and would be able to fight off infections that would normally take days or even weeks to clear up. In addition to its obvious health benefits, the healing factor would also give us a lot of freedom. We would be able to travel and explore without having to worry about getting sick or injured. We would also be able to take risks that most people wouldn't be able to, knowing that we would be able to heal quickly if something went wrong. However, like any superpower, the healing factor also comes with some risks. If we were to use it to heal from life-threatening injuries, we would be putting ourselves in danger. In addition, the healing factor could potentially be used to make us immortal. While this may sound appealing, it also comes with a lot of ethical concerns. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to use the healing factor is up to us. But it is a power that should be used with caution. Number 4. Invisibility. There are many ways that the ability to be invisible could be used, for good or evil. On the one hand, it could be used to protect oneself from harm or to spy on those who are up to no good. On the other hand, it could also be used to commit crimes or to simply cause chaos. Ultimately, it is up to the individual as to how they choose to use this ability. There are many things to consider when deciding whether or not to reveal one's identity. On the one hand, it may be important to maintain a sense of mystery and intrigue. On the other hand, it may be necessary to be transparent in order to build trust and credibility. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to reveal one's identity is a personal one that should be made on a case-by-case basis. Number 3. Superhuman intelligence. Superhuman intelligence would allow us to learn and process information much faster than humans can. We would be able to come up with innovative solutions to complex problems and make better decisions in everyday life. We would also be able to better understand the world around us and the people in it. This could lead to advances in science, technology, and society as a whole. Superhuman intelligence could also be used for evil. We could use it to create harmful weapons or to take advantage of others. We could also use it to manipulate people or to spread misinformation. It could also lead to a loss of humanity as we know it. As AI becomes more advanced, it could eventually surpass humans in all aspects of intelligence. This could lead to a future where machines rule over humans. It is important to remember that with great power comes great responsibility. If we are able to develop superhuman intelligence, we must use it wisely and ethically. We must ensure that it is used for the betterment of humanity and not for our destruction. Number 2. Immortality. Immortality is often seen as a desirable goal, something that people strive for through their entire lives. The idea of living forever is appealing to many as it would allow them to experience all that life has to offer without the fear of death looming over them. However, there are also many arguments against immortality. Some believe that it is unnatural and that death is an important part of the cycle of life. Others worry that an immortal population would eventually become overpopulated and that the Earth's resources would not be able to sustain them. Additionally, many believe that immortality would lead to a decrease in the quality of life as people would become jaded and apathetic towards everything. Immortality is a complex issue with far-reaching implications. Whether it is ultimately a good or bad thing is up for debate. No. 1. Matter manipulation. The power to manipulate matter would allow us to create anything we want out of thin air. This could be anything from food and water to shelter and clothing. We would no longer have to worry about the availability of resources since we would be able to generate them ourselves. We would also be able to clean up the environment by removing pollutants and restoring ecosystems. However, this power could also be used for evil. We could create weapons of mass destruction or use our powers to control the weather and cause natural disasters. We could also use our powers to exploit others or to simply cause chaos. So, what do you think? Do you think humans should have superpowers? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.